Hey everyone, Kyle from the band Screams and Whispers here again with another zcat pedal review. I'm actually really excited today to go through this particular pedal. This is one of the most versatile pedals that I've seen from zcat since I've started doing these reviews. This is their Qmod pedal. This is a multifunctional single stomp box designed pedal. This is a jack of all trades in regards to modulation, and has definitely surprised me in how well it does each of the things that it does. So it has 4 essential functions, but really 5, and we'll go into that 5th as we get towards the end here. But as you see here, we have tremolo, phaser, flanger, and chorus, your major modulation effects. You have a depth, speed, and reverb knob for control of that modulation. Build construction and size is relative to an MXR pedal. Very, very sturdy metal construction, all nice components. Everything fit and finish on them is very, very good, and the size is the same as your standard MXR pedals. The thing that surprised me initially was the fact that there were so many modulations in a single stomp box. And then I was initially saying, well, how can it do all of those things that well when generally you need a lot more control for certain modulations and whatnot, and the control varies from modulation to modulation, but they do a very, very good job of making it work in this pedal, so we're going to go through each of those functions. So to give you a level setting, I am playing an Epiphone Sheraton armed with Gibson 57 Classic pickups. I'm playing through a 40-watt Bogner rig with Celestion speakers in the cabinet. And I'm going to give you just a dry tone, no reverb, no overdrive, nothing. This is just clean channel on the amp, just the EQ on the amp set. And we're going to give you that tone to start with. So that gives you a good idea of just the regular tone of the guitar. So let's get into the pedal itself. This is the Qmod. Nice bright LED as we stated before. We're going to start with the tremolo effect, and I'm actually initially going to roll this reverb all the way back. So that we're not getting the reverb, we're getting more of a traditional, what you would expect out of a tremolo pedal, and only the tremolo effects, using the depth and speed knob set at 12 o'clock. And you're going to get a pretty standard tremolo sound out of this, but it does it very well. Now, the first thing I noticed is that unlike some tremolo pedals that I've experienced in the past, there's not a big loss of tone in relationship to this pedal. It's almost transparent to my ear. I really enjoy the fact that it is transparent, because you spend a lot of time trying to get your guitar tone the way you want. You just want that modulated effect on there. The tremolo setting, it very well does that. Just to kind of go through how much we can get into that, let's run the depth rate up a little bit. We'll leave the speed where it was, just so you can hear the effect of just that knob. So you can hear the depth really makes that tremolo effect take a bigger bite as it engages and disengages. It definitely adds some more character to the tone as you roll that up. And you can roll it back to make it very, very subtle as well. So we'll roll that depth knob way back. Alright, and we're going to bring this back up to 12 and roll the speed up just a little so you can hear how much we can get into this effect. farther. Nice shimmery vibrato to that. Now getting back into more standard how you're going to hear a tremolo used most often, I'm setting just below 12 o'clock on all of these. Let's add in the reverb, just so you can hear the depth added. And the fact that you don't have to have an independent reverb pedal in order to add reverb to your modulation is quite nice as well. It definitely adds some depth to the modulation as you add it in if you prefer your regular tone to be dry. So it's a nice option to have on the pedal. And we're going to run that up just a little more so you can hear a little more tremolo in there. It's a very pretty reverb tone. It's somewhere between a spring and a hall reverb. It's definitely very effective, especially against the modulation. So that is our tremolo setting on the Qmod. So we're going to move on to the phaser setting now. And again, we're going to dial back to about 12 o'clock on all of this, and let's pull the reverb out of the equation for the moment. I'm going to give you that with a little bit of overdrive as well. Just throw a TS-808 into it. I tend to use phaser a lot in my overdriven tone, so I want to give you a little demo of that as well. So again, this is essentially just a tube screamer circuit as well. So the thing that I noticed, and I had the ability to shoot this out against a very well-known phaser pedal that was previously on my board, and it definitely has a different character than that pedal, but I kind of like that because it's a lot more versatile than that pedal. I can get right to the tone that I'm very used to just simply by running the depth up on this and the speed back just slightly. And by adding that depth, you tend to get a little bit more bass response out of the phaser, and it gives you something a little bit more like a very well-known phaser pedal sound. And I'll go back into that with the 808 engaged again. So you can definitely hear how that definitely gave a lot more body and depth. Hence the name of the control. You can again run the speed on this up and get into some much more soundscapey type tones, and I'll give you that as well. But back to where we were, I want to bring in some reverb just so you can hear how just being able to add that in, having that option, gives you even more body, especially against an overdriven tone. And we'll dial that back. You can hear with just a little bit of reverb added in. see how it sounds very, very subtle. We'll take the depth, leave it up, dial the speed way back. And without the overdrive. So my overall impression of the phaser setting on the Qmod is that it can give you every tone that you're used to out of your most well-known phasers on the market. But beyond that, it has a lot more versatility than what you're going to be used to out of any other phaser that I've ever messed with. And that versatility lends itself to a lot of creativity. So I really do love the phaser on this particular model. And it will most likely be taking the place of my existing phaser. Moving up, we're going to go into the flanger setting on the Qmod. We're going to again take the reverb out of the mix, bring the speed knob back up to 12 o'clock as well as the depth, and we're going to see how our flanger sounds. Very typical flange sound on a clean tone. We're going to bring up the depth and speed, get a little more modulation on there. So you can see for yourself, it's a very glassy flanger, which I particularly enjoy more on overdriven tones than I even do clean tones. It definitely gives you a very classic flange sound on your overdriven tones. And I'll demonstrate that for you now by doing into this. You can definitely get into some... And rolling your speed back, leave your depth up. It's where I get the most effective setting out of this. In my opinion, for flange use, there's certain trademarks out there that are just the epitome of flange use, and you'll hear those on countless recordings, and you definitely can dial that in here. Where and with the ability to add your reverb in, you're going to get an even more classic tone out of your flangers. A lot of good flangers really impart almost a reverb tone anyway, and having the ability to add that in gives you the ability to really go for that tone. So overall, a very, very useful flanger, great in the lead tones, very, very glassy and bright, a wonderful, wonderful flange tone. Again, I can't express how surprised I am at how well this pedal does each of the functions considering how many it has. And as you see, we have 4 settings here. We're going to go to our 4th now, and that's the chorus setting on the Qmod. And again, we'll go to more of a classic chorus type sound, and let's pull the reverb back out of this as well. Beautiful, bright, lush chorus with a nice long tail. I love that. The ability of this particular zcat pedal, the difference, I've reviewed a zcat pedal with a chorus option before called their delay chorus hold. And the one limitation of the chorus on that pedal was that it didn't have the depth and speed controls. That pedal has multi-functions as well, and that was the one limitation of to enable those other functions. You don't have as much control over the modulation of the chorus on that pedal. In this one, you have all the control you need. You can really roll your depth up and get some nice big tones out of it. Roll your speed back to control how much we're affecting it. Make it very, very ear-friendly. And we'll go into... And again, that depth control adds body, bite, just an overall thickness to the sound, and especially with this chorus, because it's a very bright, lush chorus, and I tend to really love rolling that depth control up a good ways and giving just a lot of body to the sound. Now, earlier I said that this pedal really has 5 functions. And I'm not even sure, just because I didn't notice this usage on zcat's listing for the pedal, that essentially this pedal can be used as just an independent reverb. If you ever find yourself in need of just a reverb and you happen to have this pedal on your board for other purposes, you can, really on any of the settings, it doesn't matter which one you're on, roll your depth, speed all the way back. Bring your reverb up, and you're essentially running an independent spring/hall reverb off of this pedal without having to even use your modulation. And it is a wonderful reverb. I shot this reverb out against a couple different things. zcat's big reverb pedal, which is sitting on my board. As a matter of fact, it is sitting directly next to this pedal. And the onboard reverb of my Bogner unit. And truthfully, this stood up, especially in relationship to it being more of a spring hall reverb. It stood up exactly against the onboard reverb on my amp for the Bogner. As a matter of fact, I think I prefer the zcat. And in rolling back, the big reverb's a little bit different because it's more of a cathedral. But I tend to use the big reverb with that rolled way back, and I brought this up, and it's almost a coin flip as to which reverb I prefer. I'm probably not going to use this pedal independently as a reverb pedal just because I'm going to like some of the other functions on it and want to leave it set up for that. But it can be, and that's what I wanted to show you. So just a reverb pedal, so this is the same guitar, same unit, with only using the reverb function on this pedal. And we'll roll that up to give you even more. So as you see, it's much more spring reverb early in the dial, and as you move up it turns into more of a hall, and if you keep going on up it almost gets to a cathedral type tone the farther that you roll this pedal up. So once again, another amazing product from zcat Pedals. You can check them out at zcatpedals.com. Again, if you're looking for this model, it's called the Qmod. So once again, Kyle from Screams and Whispers signing off. You guys have a good day. Go check out zcat Pedals.